Hi everyone, welcome to DSTV class 17663. In this lecture, we will start our module 5 design methodology, and the today's topic is lecture number 1 design flow. In this lecture, we will be trying to explore the number of stages or the steps need to be followed in order to design a digital system. There are few number of stages which needs to be followed in a hierarchical way in order to design a digital system. Okay, for those number of steps are incorporated from a few essential elements. Those essential elements are architectural exploration, functional design, functional verification. In that functional verification, since we are using both the hardware part and the software part, we saw in the our input output devices chapter that we have seen different types of input devices and different types of output devices. Most of them are hardware part, a keypad, keyboard, sensors, and LCD displays, motors, actuators. All these are some of them are hardware part. These needs to be made functional with the help of a software. So we'll also verifying those the hardware and software part as a hardware software co-verification. And after this will be the next essential element is the synthesis, and next synthesis is physical design. We'll try to know in detail about all these five elements in this lecture. The number of stages which are needs to be followed in a hierarchical way are first functional design, and the next synthesis part, and the physical design. Okay, well, each of these step needs to be incorporated by verification. Okay, when you design a functional, when you design means when you describe the design, that described design needs to be verified. After the verification done, means with the help of a simulation, we can do this. After the verification, we can go for synthesis of the design, means getting translating that design with the available standard library styles. Okay, and the synthesis part also we need to verify that. Okay, once it is verified, we will be going for physical design, where we will be physically placing all the cells, and we will be doing also wire connections between them, with the main goal of meeting the requirements like area and power. Okay, timing requirements. We will do the physical design by placing cells with appropriate placement and routing of them. Okay, the main intention of these steps to be followed in order to meet the requirements. Okay, we will see what is meant by requirements, why I'm saying else. Okay, so basically on all these steps will be done with the help of a verification, with the help of verification also. We will take a picturized view of this design flow. First we will be first knowing what design we are going to do. Okay, what type of design we are going to design. Okay, first we will be collecting the requirements of the design, and we will be getting the information of the what are the constraints, the requirements, in the sense of what type of input device, what type of output device will be feasible for this application. And the constraints means what operating voltage the design should work. Okay, and also under in what environment conditions the design should be able to work. Okay, first we will be getting the requirements and constraints list. Then after that we will be going for we'll be going for a blueprint, like before building a house we will be having a blueprint, right? Similarly we will be having an architectural part where we will plan the design where the unit should be placed. Not physically, we will be planning in a uh, overview. Okay, in the upper part we'll be planning the design part, how the design should be, where the components, the input should come, the input device should come, the output device should come, the input port should come, and the screen should be there. Okay, for example, if you take a mobile phone, where should be exactly the camera should be there. Okay, where should be the power port should be there, where should be the volume button. Okay, like this we will be deciding on this. We will take some few examples of a laptop, motherboard, and mobile phone uh, inner view, so that we can have a clear picture about this. Okay, then we going for architecture exploration. In architectural exploration, we will be planning we will be planning the place the placement of the components, and also we will be planning how the functionality to be carried out from, and the connections between them, not physically, just in a overview way. Okay, then we will be deciding about the soft requirement of the softwares to design these components, and yeah, and also the hardware components which are required for this design. For example, if you take an example of a washing machine, we will be needing of a small LCD display unit, and a keep and a push button keypad, and also few LED bulbs as an indicators, and a buzzer for making a sound. Okay, if you take an example of a smart mobile phone, we require few buttons for volume controls, for power button, and we require a touch screen, and also we require a camera. Okay, like this we will be listing out the hardware part also. Okay, after the architecture, first next we'll be start describing our design with the help of listing the softwares part, means the programming language required to design this unit. Okay, the programming language may be an hardware description language, maybe a Verilog or VSDL, or for hardware part, say if it requires any functionalities to be defined with the help of standard architecture or controllers, we will be using some embedded programming also, we will be using C programming also. For example, I am saying, so we'll be collecting the software programming requirements and software programming language requirements, and the hardware requirements. Okay, and the constraints also. Okay, at what operating voltage that they should work, and for an hardware device. Once we decide the list of the software and hardware requirements, next we will further start our work, means actual design. We will start to describe our actual design. We know, we are aware of that we will be using a Verilog language to describe a few of our digital circuits, like half adder, full adder, counters, flip flops, as we have done in our lab. Okay, just to take an example, we'll be describing these components. And when we also saw in our few microcontroller labs and microprocessor labs, we will be using non-interfacing, we will be using interfacing programs where we dumping the code into the under the board. For we have seen the stepper motor running. Okay, and also when we enter into the digital design lab, we also dump the code into the FPGA board. Okay, so these are some of the ideas we can have in mind before proceeding to the further steps. Okay, now we have collected the software requirements and hardware components requirements. Next we will be describing the design. Describing the design means we'll be conveying the working of our design in term by using a programming language. For example, half adder, to design half adder, we'll be having a boolean expression. We'll be writing that boolean expression with the help of following the if you take a Verilog as a programming language, we'll follow the Verilog programming language syntax to describe that function of a half adder. Okay, we'll be describing the design. Okay, we'll be describing the design in a software unit design. And after, once we design the describe the design, we need to verify whether the design will give the actual output. Means we will be going for a simulation approach here. So first we will design, then we'll be going for verification. Similarly, same for the hardware part also, we will be designing the hardware part and we'll be verifying that. After that, if it is giving the proper output, we will be continuing to the next step. Else we will going to we will going to fix the bugs, means we will going to check where the problem is occurred, and we will be redesigning it. So we will be going back to the checking condition whether the design is working. If it is working, we'll move. Else we'll go back to the design part. Okay, if it is too, if we'll go to the design part. And similarly for also the hardware unit also. Then if when the design is working fine, we will go to the next, means integration part. Why the integration part? Because we know that for a simple design we'll be using for half adder, we'll be using a say one programming one file of code. For when we go for designing a medium complex, for example, we'll take a triple carry adder, where we'll be using we'll take 4-bit triple carry adder, we'll be using 4 full adders. Then each full adder will be is a instantiation from another file. So we require 4 such files to be included. So we need to combine all those files in order to execute ripple carry adder. I repeat again, consider an example of executing a ripple carry adder, um, designing a ripple carry adder with the help of a 4 full adders. Okay, this full adder is a separate verilog file. This full adder needs to be included while executing the some ripple carry adder. So we need to integrate this. So this is just a plain meaning of an integration. Similarly, for a complex programming complex design, it requires multiple files to be included in a execution part. So we need to integrate all those files. Similarly, the same step will be applied for the hardware part also. Okay, if this also in this also we'll be verifying, okay, whether the design is giving proper output or not. If it is not, we'll be going back to the design unit and we'll be refining the design and we'll be going for the verification. When it is okay, we'll be moving to the next part, that is synthesis part. Since we have described the design and verified the design, the next part is synthesis. Synthesis means we have described our design. This design needs to be converted into a cells form, means a logic gate form or a logic block forms. Okay, so we will take the help of a EDA tool where it substitutes whatever the expressions we have written, and it may be a hand function, or it may be half adder function, or it may be full adder, or it may be multiplexer function using condition operator. Those functions will be replaced with the help of a available library cells with the tool. Okay, this is done at the synthesis stage. In the synthesis stage, whatever the expressions we have expressed in the design, whatever the expression we have used to describe the design, will be converted with the help of a available library cells. In this also we'll be going for verification. Okay, we'll be going for post synthesis verification, where the substituted library cells are meeting the requirements of area, power and timing. These are the few constraints. Are the synthesis part is meeting the constraints requirements? If yes, we'll proceed further. If not, we'll go back to the synthesis part and and also if needed we'll go back to the design part, and we will try to simplify the expression, or we will try to make addition of the expression so that we can meet the required timing or performance or power. Okay, we'll try to modify the design such that we can meet the requirement. The ultimate goal of the any digital design to meet the requirements. Okay, it may be area requirement, it may be timing requirement, or it may be a power requirement. Okay, based on the application, we will be checking um, the requirements at each and every verification stage. When this post synthesis verification is okay, we'll be moving to the next stage, that is the physical design stage. This physical design will be somewhat will be placing the logic blocks, logic cells in a given area. Okay, we will be having a chip area. In that a predefined area, in that area we'll be designing. Okay, we'll be placing those cells, um, and we'll be establishing connection between them in order to meet the requirements. Okay, the next step is physical design stage. Okay, physical design stage we will look at briefly in the physical design unit. Okay, and once we have placed and established connections in physical design stage, we'll be verifying that whether the timing has been meeting, timing requirement is meeting or not, and the areas have been used efficiently, or the area is increased, or if the timings are violating, means it's taking too much time to give the output. Okay, this will be verified in the physical verification stage, and after that verification is not okay, we'll be going back to the design unit, and um, we'll be describing the design again, or we'll be doing the resynthesis, or else we'll be doing the re-physical design. Okay, means we'll be replacing we'll be placing, not replacing, we'll be placing again the cells in the physical design in a different locations, and we'll be trying to with the different wiring connections. Okay, so in order to meet the timing requirements and power requirements, also in order to make sure within the design is not exceeding the given area. Okay, it should be within the design, it should be within the area. Okay, when this physical verification is okay, we'll be submitting the design for manufacturing process, means IC manufacturing process. And once the IC manufacturing process has been done, we'll be testing the ICs on the silicon wafer itself, and we'll be segregating the defected ICs and corrected ICs, and the corrected ICs will be sent for testing and packaging. Okay, this is the flow. This is the digital design flow. First we'll be collecting the requirements and the constraints for a design, and after that we'll be creating an architecture, means an overview of the design, like a blueprint. And after that we'll be listing we'll start to describe the design with the help of a listing of listing the requirement of the software languages, and listing the need of the hardware components. And after that we will be describing the design, and we'll be verifying the design. Okay, this is the functional design and functional verification part. And after that we'll be going to the synthesis part, and we'll be doing the post synthesis verification also. And then we'll be going for physical design and physical verification, and finally we'll be going for manufacture and testing. You can observe carefully, there is a flow back for at each of the step. Each of the step is going back to the previous step, means the physical design stage or physical verification stage. The you can see the rhombus shape, the diamond shape. Okay, okay, all this okay have two lines, S and Y and N. Y stands for S and N stands for no. All these are going back to the previous stage, means physical verification is going to the physical verification okay is going back to the synthesis part. Okay, synthesis stage okay is going back to the integration stage, and integration stage okay is going back to the software design unit and hardware design unit. And in turn hardware design unit and software design unit is going back to the architecture exploration, means each of the step is following a hierarchical way. Okay, and it is going back one stage back to it. Okay, one stage back to it. From this we can say that we cannot directly start describing the design or any we can directly start the physical design, okay, as when we got the requirement. Okay, we cannot start directly any step, we need to go step by step. First we need to get the requirement, then architecture part, then functional design, then functional verification, then synthesis, then synthesis verification, then physical design and physical verification. uh, this has to be in a order way, means they are going in a hierarchical way. After that we manufacturing and test. We can say that this figure 1 is following a hierarchical the design flow, and these all are in a single this is a single digital design flow. Okay, and the A and B are there with a small shape. The A and B are nothing but a flowchart connectors. These okay, don't observe there are two figures, it is a one figure. The A and B are just a connectors. Okay, the A and B indicates the connections from the previous flow. Okay, and each of the designs will be verified, each of the stage is verified and tested. Okay, next we will be taking the help of a EDA tool, means electronic design automation tools, in order to describe our design, to write the to write the boolean expression in using a Verilog language or a VHDL language, or or if some hardware components require some software language like C or C++. Okay, we'll be taking the help of a electronic design automation tools. Okay, with the help of these tools we'll be describing our design using a software programming languages. These are not a physical models. These tools will be helping in generating will be in describing our design and generating a virtual prototypes of the design, not a physical, means these will be giving the virtual prototypes of the designs. Okay, this EDA tools helps in so much reduction of the uh, what we can say saving of the hardware parts. We can do we can fix errors, we can test, we can redesign with the help of EDA tools any number of times without wasting hardware parts. Okay, next we will take a few examples to understand this step. Okay, we will take a laptop. This laptop will require a motherboard to work. No doubt that it requires other physical components, screen, keyboards, and also USB ports are the ports, but it requires a motherboard for proper functioning. Okay, this motherboard will work with will be consisting of many components. Okay, um, and it is nothing but PCB with having many vias through it. Okay, on it. Okay, and we'll be having different components placed on the motherboard. This motherboard, the components on the motherboard will require a CPU, will require a CPU processor to for the proper functioning of the design. We will see why we have taken this one. Okay, just have a look at the motherboard view again. Okay, and the names of the ports are they are given, and we will try to see the actual reason why you have taken this image. Okay, this is the side view of the motherboard. You can see the different ports are there, keyboard, mouse ports are there, serial port is there, parallel port is there. You can see my port for microphones are there. Okay, USB ports are there. Okay, these ports are placed um, in a integrated way, means they are placed closely, but they are each are separate. Okay, why I'm so highlighting this because the placement of these will not be done directly at the architecture part. What you are seeing, there they will plan where should exactly these ports should come. Okay, before architecture part we saw that requirements and constraints. Okay, these individual ports will be selected after listing what application we are going to design. Are we going to design for for a laptop, are we going to design for a desktop, or we are going to design for a smart mobile phone. Okay, so in that they will list these ports, and the power supply they require. Based on that they will the environment conditions required. Based on that they will list all these components, and after that they will make a blueprint of overview where should these components should be placed. Okay, this is about hardware part unit. Similarly, the same kind will be doing in the IC design part, where we saw the processor. No, that processor will be done in that also. We will be using a logical design part. In that also we will be similarly we will be placing the input ports and output ports, and the cells and the logic blocks in a physical design stage similarly like this, in order to meet the requirements. Okay, this is the hardware placement about hardware components placement. In IC also we will be seeing the in physical design. We'll be listing the input ports one side, output ports on one side, and we'll be placing the logical blocks within the given area. We'll see in a physical design. Okay, just have an idea about why we are going through requirement stage, architecture stage and all. Okay, and next we will take a mobile phone example. Please observe the mobile phone. Here also you can see that there are different components. A camera is there, for microphone is there, speaker is there. Okay, and antennas are there, volume key is there, battery socket is there. All these are not directly placed. Okay, they will first decide, they'll first take the application they are going to design. They are designing a smart mobile phone, then they'll list the requirements. What requirements? It requires a flash LED, it requires a camera, it requires a power port, USB connector, it requires a microphone, okay, for making call, and hearing, so speaker for hearing, and it requires a battery to function the mobile. What type of battery should be used, what amount of supply it should carry, it should it should give to the mobile phone to function. And to have internet facility, it should have some Wi-Fi transmission antenna. And also it requires some what other USB ports. Okay, all this not be done just by taking a mobile phone, okay, as in a mind, and they will not place easily. They will first list the requirements, then the architectural team will plan. Okay, and the designing time verification team will take care of the rest. Okay, this is another example of a mobile phone. Why we are going to requirements and architecture part. This part will help in designing the system. Okay, and this is a PCB view of a mobile phone. The PCB view, why I'm showing the PCB view, because you can see there are ICs. In the in motherboard we saw the side view of ports. In the IC also exactly we will be dealing with the placing of the logical cells and establishing connection between them. We saw in the IC manufacturing process. Okay, so we'll be placing the ICs, and the PCB will help in having establishing connection between interaction between these ICs. Okay, this is exactly we are going through the requirements and the architecture stage. Okay, we will see. Um, we will summarize this. Okay, we'll summarize this. First, we'll collect the requirements and constraints, list it out, then go for architecture stage, means a blueprint, then go for functional design, means software design. Here I have taken a Verilog language to describe a simple D flip-flop. Okay, this is a functional design, and functional verification means verification means we'll be checking the for example, simulation waveforms. Okay, and after that we'll be going to the synthesis part. We'll be going to the synthesis part. The synthesis part, this is not a D flip-flop synthesized. I'm just taking a random synthesized netlist view. Okay, this is the after functional design and verification, the synthesis part will look like this. The whatever the expressions you have used to describe the design, it will be converted to the uh, physical parts, okay, in the synthesis with the help of available library cells within the tool. Then after this we'll be doing the physical design part. In this physical design part, this on the synthesis part above figure, the synthesis netlist, it is just the one which are replaced the description with the help of available library cells. But we don't know whether it is meeting the application requirement or not. Okay, so we'll be going for physical design stage, and we'll be trying to place the blocks in a separate way and trying to establish the connections in order to meet the requirements. Then after this, we'll be sending this for IC manufacturing process, IC manufacturing and test. Okay, you can see the IC manufacturing test process. Once it has done, we'll be going for packaging. We'll be going for packaging. And if this is understood, we will start each one of the elements one by one. We'll start with the architecture exploration. In the architecture exploration, whatever the system is going to be designed, it should meet the requirements and constraints. Okay, the requirements may be the design, which is to be the aim, the goal of the design, the aim of the design, the platform of the design, where it should be used, whether it is a handheld device or it is a commercial device or it is uh, a mobile phone, like this. Okay, they will first design, then they'll list out the software requirements and hardware requirements. Apart from that, they will try to uh, check the few of the constraints, like cost, performance and power consumption, reliability. Okay, okay, reliability in the sense how long the, if you take an example, how long the system will, the device will work, and what operating conditions will work, whether the mobile phone after falling from a 5 feet to the ground will it work, or for when a mobile phone is dipped in a water will it work. Okay, like that. Like that they will first list out these things in architectural explorations with while doing the blueprint also. Why cost means there are same input devices, there are multiple input devices are there with varying cost. Okay, for example, we can design a mobile phone with a keypad, means with a key buttons or with a touch screen. Okay, in touch screens also, what would be the size of okay, it's a small size, that's a big size. So the size, the cost varies. Okay, so these are the important parameters where we will be before choosing any physical components and software languages. Okay, because software languages, because EDA tools will also cost, so they will list out the cost and the performance and power consumption of all the, in architecture stage also. Okay, without in architecture stage they are not going for physically designing, but they will list out all these. Okay, in they will check the requirements and whether the choosed the list of software and hardware list will satisfy the requirements and constraints. Okay, and after that and after that they will try to estimate. Okay, they will try to estimate whether it is able to workable or not workable. Okay, they will check with the estimation whether it is needed or not needed. Okay, this architecture exploration is nothing but an estimation, we can call as an estimation. Okay, um, this architecture exploration is also alternatively called as the design space exploration. Why? Because we'll be um, getting the information what application design we are going to design. Are we going to design a motherboard, for example, or are we going to design a smart mobile phone? Okay, because the area varies. In that given area, we need to place all the components. Okay, for example, if you take an example of mobile phone with a single camera, and a mobile phone with a two camera or three camera, we need to choose a place to place all these cameras on a PCB of a mobile. Okay, so it is called as a design space exploration. Okay, yeah, without any physical placement of the cells, will be the architecture team will be able to specify or show the place for the cameras in the within the available space. Okay, the important aspect of the architecture exploration is whatever the space, whatever the area they got effort, they need to partition that. Okay, they need to partition that the space with for proper placement of the cells. Okay, partitioning is essentially the application of a divide and conquer problem strategy. Okay, in this there will be partitioning according to the physical uh, partitioning and logical partitioning. Okay, um, physical partitioning is nothing but if a component is too large to be placed on a given space, it can be made into sub modules. Okay, for example, if a design is too large, if the component is too large, we can use two sub modules of we can use few sub modules of that design. Okay, and logical partitioning is nothing but if an uh, um, expression is too large and the result synthesis part will give a single component which requires more, area within the available space. We can um, make we can we can make divide that expression into few into sub expressions. Okay, for example, and if you take an adder half adder expression. Okay, in that half adder, the truth table and the functionality has been separated into two subparts. One is sum part and carry part. Similarly, the the let cell required for calculating the sum is a separate, and a cell required for calculating the carry is a separate. This is nothing but logical partitioning. The simple half adder has been logically partitioned into sum and carry part. Okay, this is a small idea about a logical partitioning. This is nothing but we are separating an complete expression of addition. This can also be called as a functional decomposition. Composition means combining all. Decomposition means separating. Okay, in a general meaning. And then next, we have mentioned about the physical components and the logical partitionings. We shall see what are the physical partitions will include. It may include a processor core, accelerators, memories, and input-output controllers. Means the memory chips, the core, all the input-output controllers means the buses, serial bus and a parallel bus. All these are physical, right? So this needs to be placed properly within a given area. You have seen motherboard, right? You have seen phone PCB, right? The functionality of the functionality almost same. It includes almost all the same components, but the areas differ. Okay, so this is about the physical partitioning. And the next, we saw that hardware part means hardware components needs to be proper functionally, means some hardware units needs some programming part to control them. So we'll be going for hardware software partitioning also. Okay, in hardware software in partitioning, a given logical component may be mapped to a specialized hardware component. Okay, whose only task is to implement that logical component. And another logical component may be mapped to a software task run on a processor core under control of a real-time operating system. Since we are we are designing the embedded digital design, the OS we are using should be an RTOS. Okay, and if we take an example for architecture exploration, we can take an example of a road transport monitoring system. A road transport monitoring system is nothing but vehicles will be moving on the road, and in that road, the getting the information of the which vehicles are moving, at what speed they are moving, okay, and at what time they are moving. Okay, this is the job about the road transport monitoring system. This is done with the help of a few components, and hardware components, and the software part. Okay, uh, I repeat again, we are taking an example of a road transport monitoring system, where in transport monitoring system, the whatever the vehicles are moving on the road, um, the information of the vehicle should be collected. Means the license plate of the vehicle, okay, the type of the vehicle, the color of the vehicle, the image of the vehicle, the time of the vehicle it's moving on the road, all this should be recorded. For this to happen, we require a video camera to record the vehicle movement to, and in that also a camera to capture the images of a vehicle, the license plate, and some memory components to store the time of the vehicle movement, and also we require some internet networking components to send this video images and whatever the information collected of license plate time to the centralized um, vehicle transport monitoring system. Okay, we will see the block diagram, we'll see both the physical partitioning and logical partitioning of this example. Okay, first we'll take a logical partitioning. Okay, logical in architecture exploration, because they are not doing any physical implementation, but they are planning. Okay, in logical partitioning, they are listing all the components required. Okay, first they require a camera. Okay, and they require filters. Okay, to have a proper video recording, and they will have some detectors to to separate the edge and shapes, and also the plates, and also some recognizing components to identify the plate, and also they need memory components to record the log, means time of the vehicle movement, time at what time the vehicle is moving, so they will be having some log unit. And all this should be we should be working, will be working with the help of some system control. Okay, and we'll be having a network interface to transfer all this information to some centralized unit. This is about logical partitioning. When this should be realized in a physical way, means on the roads, the physical camera should be placed. That camera should be able to capture the vehicle with its speed. Okay, okay, so we require a carefully selected camera. Okay, and few network units. Okay, so they will also list the physical requirement in the physical partitioning. Okay, this is the physical partitioning. In physical partitioning, same camera same units will be there, but with the physical devices. Okay, but including the requirement of the physical devices. Okay, those devices, the cameras, the filters, the detectors, and the processor core, and the memory unit. And also, in order to work these efficiently, so we'll be having a separate buses, one for video bus for the camera to capture and record, save the video in a memory. So we'll be having a video bus for parallelly working video memory will be there. And in order to transfer these information to the process, we'll be having a separate processor bus. This is about logical partitioning and physical partitioning of a road transport monitoring system. Okay, next we will try to analyze what are the components are included in this logical unit and physical unit. It included a camera, okay, video camera, and filters to remove, why filters, to remove the noise, and to detect the edges, and to detect the shape of the vehicle, and also to identify the plate, and also recognizing the characters, whether it's a Roman character or alphabetical character, or it's any other language characters. Okay, or any symbols are there. Okay, this is an ideology, and the shape of the characters they are used. Okay, why? Because when the license plate is image is been captured, it should be able to give the information, and the system should be able to, this vehicle has moved, this is the number. Okay, and this is the number of the vehicle. We will take an image view about this one. Okay, we'll take an example of a image from a movie called Johnny English. In this movie, the actor Ron Atkinson will be driving a car, and the whatever the road monitoring system camera, when he is driving the car, it takes the image of the vehicle. It takes the image of vehicle. That image will not try to what the scene is. We will try to analyze the will in this example. This is an image. In this image you can carefully observe, the person is inside the vehicle. The road monitoring system camera captured this image. Okay, this image is giving the information of a location and the speed. Location is London, speed is 63 mph and miles per hour, and it's also giving the registration number. You can see the registration number is displayed, means how the camera is displayed with the help of a with the help of a detectors. Okay, with the help of the character recognition elements. So it identifies that character, and it displaying those characters means from the license plate, and it also displaying the time, also time and date. Okay, this is this is how this is an example of road transport monitoring system. Okay, this image I have taken from the Google search. Okay, and next, in order to implement this, we may require different software programming languages. Some may require hardware description languages, or some components may require a programming language like C or C++. Okay, some designers will be choosing different types of system models. Okay, in this example, um, in this example, the some designers can trust an ad hoc system models. An ad hoc system model is nothing but an which model which expresses algorithms using a programming language like software programming language of C or C++, and they also use to maintain the logging system, means the timing of the vehicle and the registration numbers, or to tabulate all those and to summarize all those. They will be using spreadsheets, means your Excel sheets, and for mathematical modeling tools. Okay, next, we saw the example. Okay, and this is an example of road monitoring system. And what does it gives? It gives a specification. It gives a specification of a system. Okay, this is nothing but the feasibility of a design. Okay, high level specification will be obtained. The specification will be including the function to be performed, the connections to be established between the connections, and the constraints to be used. Okay, you saw the example of a road monitoring system. The components, what is a function? Capturing the image, recording the recording the timings, character identification of the license numbers on the license plate. This is the function, and the connections between these should be done parallelly, and also constraints. What should be the amount of supply it required, whether it required a battery supply or a power supply from the transformer, like this, and like this. These are the constraints as an example. Okay, and they can use the specification to, in order to meet the specification and to make the specification to be executable. So we can use a certain forms of a UML, unified modeling language. Okay, to express the specification. Okay, they will give the overview, and how to express this they can use. To express the specification they can use unified modeling language, UML. Okay, UML is an executable specification. It's a programmable construct. It gives a it is in a human readable language. Okay, English language. Okay, the specification used, this specification, whatever the architecture team will give, it is used as an input to the next stage of the design flow. Okay, whatever the stage will be starting to design, will be having some form of, will need some form of information. That information will is nothing but the input of the will is nothing but input from the previous stage. Okay, okay. Next, about the functional design. Functional design is, in general, we can say a description of a design, description of the system. Okay, our architecture specification as decompose the system into physical components and physical components. So, and this architecture design will act as a top level of the top down design process. We saw that the components are decomposed into subcomponents and subcomponents. So it means we need to design each of the component, subcomponent, sub-subcomponent, and we need to verify all those components. For example, if we take an example of a ripple carry adder, we'll be using four full adders, okay, to construct that, and we'll be also using half adders to construct the ripple carriers. Then the design is a the component is a full ripple carry adder, the sub components are the full adder, and the full adder subcomponent sub components are half adder. So we need to design half adder, we need to design full adder, we need to design ripple carry adder, we need to verify all these. Okay, design full adder verified, design half adder for verified, then after using the verified half adder construct full adder, then verify the full adder, then after verifying use full adders to construct ripple carry adder. Okay, we'll take an image a picturization view of this. Okay, and this process, the design and verification involves a decomposition of the components into subcomponents and sub components. Okay, it means in a picturized way we will be having a component. This component is designed with the help of a sub components, this components is designed with the help of a sub components. Okay, please have a look at this image. Okay, okay, this is about components. So we can describe the design in any way. Okay, the way heat behaves, or we can describe the design with the help of a logical gates, logic gates, or combinational circuits or sequential circuits. If the design is complex, we can express the design the way it behaves, the way it behaves. Okay, for example, if you take an example, they are describing the design of a flip flop, D flip flop. Instead of using logical gates to construct the D flip flop, we can describe the design. Okay, whenever clock is 1, if you take a positive D flip flop, whenever clock is 1, the output will follows the D input. Okay, we can describe this in a single, in a few lines, instead of using a NOR based or a NAND based D flip flop and shorting the J and K inputs to and inverter is using inverter to make it a D input. Okay, and having few components and giving mentioning the cross connections between those, instead of describing the internal connection of the D flip flop, we can with using logic gates, we can go for the way it behaves. We can use a clock signal as input, we can get D input in D signal as input, and you can have one Q output. Okay, we can use a verilog construct. Whenever a positive edge of the clock occurs, make sure Q follows D, else Q is previous remains in previous stage. Okay, this is just a behavioral model. So we can use a behavioral model of a describing the design. Okay, by expressing behavior model of a functional, we can achieve an abstraction between the system level and a register transfer level. Okay, instead of we mentioning the hardware logical components, we can just um, give the behavior of that design. Okay, the behavioral model might include description of the algorithm to be implemented by the component without the detailed cycle by cycle timing, or it might just be a bus function model. Yeah. It means whatever we explained in this is for complex design. It means we just give the how the design will work. Okay, this will ease us the designer work also, and this will also help in synthesis part. Okay, because we'll be knowing the use of reuse IPs and all. Okay, and the next is the purpose of behavioral model. It allows the functional verification of the component before proceeding to detailed implementation. Okay, once the functionality is verified, it's verified and it works fine, we can use the same test benches, for implementing other other applications, in other applications. Okay, instead of rewriting and uh, the, the same design, we can use the verified one. Okay, we can say for example, we can consider a sawball edge detection accelerator. And The next in the physical design stage, we need to follow a few approaches. We cannot write we cannot spend our time to write the each and every component from scratch. We can reuse the already existing design. Okay, we will see the different approaches in functional design. One approach is to design a new implementation by refining the higher level model using the design techniques. And the next is an alternative is to reuse a component. Okay, to reuse means already existing component to be used. Okay, from a previous system, from a library of components, or from a component vendor. Okay, um, whether they seeing the whether it meets the requirements and constraints. Okay, what is meant by reuse means we saw take an example of ripple carrier. We are using the full adder already used already designed and verified, and full adder is constructed with help of adder already designed and verified. This is an example. Similarly, for complex systems, instead of wasting the time in designing from scratch, we can use some already available component which fits to our which meets our requirement, which fits to our design. Okay, this is the reuse. And then we can often use the term intellectual property or IP to refer such reusable components. Intellectual property or IP means already some designer, some other designer already designed that. Okay, he designed that component and design, and he owns it. Instead of we wasting time as a designer to design from scratch, we can approach him and we can use his design in our design. Okay, intellectual property or IP is made as a standard. Okay, the most obvious benefit of reuse is that we'll save design time. Okay, we save design time, we save verification time, we save a lot of time by using by reusing the components. Moreover, if the IP has been specifically developed for reuse, okay, and has been thoroughly verified as a unit, then we can save effort in verification also. In the previous slide, we said we are saving design time. Also, we are saving verification times because it's already designed, is already verified, it's working fine, and it's if it is meeting our requirement, we can use easily. We can use it in our design easily. Okay. Yeah, if the IP block which is used for use, if it is not requires our requirements, okay, we can adapt that working style of the design in our design. Okay, we can use that functionality, we can use that programming construct, and software construct. If the hardware construct is not required, you can use that code and you can make some slight modifications. We can use that in the this one. If the IP performs the required function, if an IP block does not exactly meet the requirements of our system, we may be able to adapt it with less effort than would be required for a fresh start. If the IP performs the required function but does not have the right interface connections or timing, we can use it as a wrapper. A wrapper is nothing but a circuitry that deals with the differences. Okay. Means the IP we as I said, means the last line, the last para is nothing but we can use the programming part of it, and we can make some slight modifications according to our application requirement. We can use that programming part. The pin number may be variable, maybe the pins are more. The type of platform board used to design that may be different. We can do some slight modifications. Next, when a design, when in a design, when it requires some components, readily available components or readily available IP, when in a scenario when there is no reusable IP available, okay, then we are forced to start our design from scratch. Okay, we need to start design our from scratch. So we can spend an extra effort to design that unit from scratch. Okay, so we can divide the team and we can design sub components of that particular design. Okay, and when there is no availability of such reusable IP, we can take the help of a tool, EDA tool, and we can go for an alternative approach. That alternative approach is nothing but with the help of a core generator. A core generator is an EDA tool that generates a model of a component based on the parameters that describe its function. Whatever the we will be giving a requirements to the tool. That tool uh, will is nothing but a core generator. It will give a model for us. Okay, that core generators are available for common kinds of functions. Those common functions are memory functions, arithmetic unit functions, bus interfaces, DSP functions, and FSMs. Okay, these core generators uh, will help in giving the readily available um, components. Okay, we will take an example of a Xilinx tool, and the we'll take an area of FPGA. Okay, FPGA design area is FPGA, and we'll take a Xilinx tool, and this tool will the core generator of that we will see. Okay, this is the screenshot of a Xilinx core generator. It's showing a different core functions within it. Okay, and we will see um, we'll also see one example of this core generator. When we approach this core generator for a memory device, it can give um, the readily available memory component within it. Okay, that is about the FPGA, and we can approach for ASIC designs also. We can approach the core generator for ASIC based designs also. Okay, we can approach core generators to get the components for FPGA based designs and ASIC based designs. Okay, in both the cases, the generated core can save a substantial amount of design time and verification effort. Okay, we are avoided by writing the design, we are avoided by verification of the design, because core generator uh, will be giving a will be giving component which meets our requirement. Okay, we'll see the core generator, uh, the content addressable memory which is given by a core generator. Okay, this is a dialog for specifying parameters for a generated core. In this when we approach core generator, we will be giving the mentioning our requirements. Okay, this is a dialog box where we will be entering our requirements to the Xilinx core generator tool. This dialog box will take the inputs from our means requirement inputs, and it will give the components which is available within the Xilinx tool. Okay, as we are saying that we can use a different programming language, like it may be hardware description language, or it may be software language, for example C programming or C plus programming. Okay, we can use a Verilog language or VHDL language, where they have got their own syntaxes and styles to describe the designs. Okay, different EDA vendors provides different syntax following tools, um, um, like lint tools. Okay, um, these tools will help in verifying the designs. Okay, verifying the with the means it means what lint to means, it will be checking the whatever the described design. It will be checking, it will basically checking the whether whatever the language we have used, whether it is following a syntaxes or not, because we will be we will be will be using a Verilog language or VSDL language to describe our design. Okay, we might have omitted the syntax, we might have omitted the semantics. Okay, this will be checked by EDA tool. Okay, this the EDA tool will not directly give whatever you write where describe design in terms of synthesize part. It will check whether it is following a syntax error, passing the syntax errors, semantic errors and all. This will be checked by a background tool called checking tool. Okay, lint tools. Okay, this tool will be most of almost all the tools will be written in the C programming, with the help of C programming. Okay, whatever the EDA tools you use, those are written probably written with the help of a C program. Okay, this will check, the lint tool will check whether the design is meeting the is following the syntax rules, semantic rules or not. Okay, and then the next physical design, whatever the synthesis part the whatever the described design we do means hardware model development, it needs to be undergo as a software development. Okay, whatever the hardware model is, it should be go in common with the software development. It should undergo some kind of revision management. It should undergo some kind of revision management. It's also called source code control. Okay, whenever multiple designers are involved in designing a complex design, means the design team will be, when you have to design a one complex design, then there will be a team. That team consists of multiple designers. Okay, when these multiple designers are working on a one complete design, they will be given separate blocks to design. Okay, for example, if we take an CPU example, one may work on arithmetic, one designer may work on arithmetic unit, and other design may work on logical unit, and other designer may work on the control unit. Okay, in arithmetic unit also, the team may be divided to one designer work on the adder, one design work on the multiplier. Okay, and in logical also, one designer work on the relation blocks, one designer work on the equalization block. Like this, the design team will be divided in order to make the designing work faster. Okay, so when these designs are combined, means different designs are combined, there should be some cross checking software to coordinate all their work. Okay, there should be cross checking software, that is nothing but revision management software, will helps in coordinating the work of each of the designer. And this will be maintained a software repository of different versions. Because in now in 2020 we are designing a, we as a team designing a work, but we will design a system and will deploy it. And in 2030, when when in for some other application, whatever the design were required in 2030 also, that whatever we done in 2020, it may be reused at that time. The version of the tool will be changed, so we need to upgrade to it, or we can use this design in it. Okay, this is about the functional designs, and different tools are there in order to support the description of the designs. Okay, these designs will be um, these tools will be updating periodically. So the so yeah, in order to avoid any change conflict, we will be keep on checking about the syntaxes and updation of the soft updation of the new instructions into the language. Next, will be about functional verification. Since we have described the design, next step is to verify the design. Okay, the verification plan includes what parts of the design will be verified, what the functionality of the needs to be verified, and how the verification will be followed, and how the verification needs to be followed. Okay, this is till now we saw about the functional design. Now we'll be looking into the functional verification part. Okay, we will take this functional verification part as a next lecture. Okay, thank you all for listening.